Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker released in December of 2021. So the expansion has been out for around 15, 16 months now, and it's been good. We've had some good story, we've had some good fights, we've had some good side content, and interesting new things that they're trying in Endwalker. But I want to talk about something that a lot of people in the community have been talking about, and something that personally has really been bothering me, and that's the pacing, the drip feeding, and the slow release, and the spacing of the content we've had. Over the last year, it's been painful. It's been really, really painful, and I just want to talk about it because I know a lot of other people are feeling the same. If you don't want to hear any criticism about Final Fantasy XIV, you think the game is perfect, then that's great. But a lot of people are feeling this way, so hopefully it resonates with some of you, and I think it's an important topic. So with the release of Endwalker, Square Enix pushed back their content release schedule from 3.5 months to 4 months, which isn't a big change, and I support a healthy, good working environment. Burnout is bad, and the more motivated and energized the developers are, the better the content we receive. Or so I agreed back when this was first announced, because something isn't feeling quite right on the other side as the player. It just something doesn't feel right. The patch cycles just feel light, and I've completely unsubbed at the moment from the game, and I'm struggling to find the hype for the game right now. I've been talking to other people in the community, and I kind of want to just talk about 3 of the big things that I think are leading to a lot of people feeling burnt out. I just want to break this down in this video. If you're frustrated and want to talk about it, let me know in the comments. But if it's not for you, if you love the game, completely fine. Let's get straight into it. Number 1, the drip feeding, the pacing of the content. So the main issue I feel is this. We have to wait 4 months for content, and then when that content comes out, it's split. So you'll get half of your content in a 0.2 patch, and then another in a 0.25, half in a 0.3, and then half of that content in a 0.35. And it kind of takes away some of the excitement. You wait months for a patch, you watch a trailer for say 6.3, you wait months for it, and then the parts you're most excited about are pushed back to 0.35. So then you're waiting another 2 months. And of course, it's a subscription game, so if you were constantly subscribing, that would be another 2 months of subscribing, waiting for the content that you were shown in the trailer 4 or 5 months ago. And because of this, it never feels like there's enough content to fully go all in with the game. I can't remember the last time I was logged in daily since the early 2022, because it just feels so paced out. There isn't enough to keep you busy. Let's say a Savage Raid comes out and you do Savage Raid in 3 days a week. Great. What do you do on the other days? What do you do? And then you finish the Savage, or you get bored of the Savage because you're a bit burnt out in the game, and the next patch drops an Alliance Raid. Well, you do the Alliance Raid once a week. What do you do on the other 6 days? And then the next patch releases a Beast Tribe. What do you do outside of that half an hour a day? And if the answers do old content, some people have done all the old content. And if the answers grind tomestones, that's what we've been doing for a year and a half. There's got to be more to it than that. And it just feels very thin. And then look at something like the Savage Raid. This came out 9 months ago. The Savage Raid was 9 months ago, and they only unlocked the raid tier like now, like a month before 6.4. They've only just unlocked the raid tier, which it blows my mind. I can't understand it. The Alliance Raid came out 5 or 6 months after the Savage tier, and that had catch-up gear in it, and most people who did the Savage aren't interested in playing Savage anymore, so it only serves to help casual players get gear that didn't do Savage. Anyone that did Savage, the gear is a downgrade. And it would have been a nice supplement to the Savage gear. It would have been a nice thing to do as you raid 3 days a week, you do the Savage, you get the little things that upgrade your armor, like the twines or whatever, and it complements the content you're already doing. But because it's 6 months later and the raid's still locked, it just, I don't see who that was for. I've done the Alliance Raid maybe 3 times, and just, yeah, I just did it for fun. I don't know what I got, twines, equipment, I don't know. I don't care about gear anymore because Savage was middle of last year. So yeah, I just really don't know who it's serving by pacing these things so far away rather than complementing them together. I just think it would have been nice if some content comes out, and I hope it changes in 6.4, but I really don't think it will. If, say, they release a Savage tier and you have that to work on for, say, 3 months, and while that's there, you raid 3 nights a week. When you're not raiding, you're grinding for a relic weapon. You're working on you're doing the Alliance Raid 1 day a week, or you're working on some other thing the other day of the week. And there's just constantly things to do. Personally, for me, to help, I've just not done anything for about 6 months. I've ignored everything. I've not touched any of the beast tribes so that when I do get back into the game, I can keep myself busy by saving all the old content so that when I actually do sub, there's enough stuff to actually play through, which is a really weird way to play the game, but it feels that's what you got to do. So next up, I want to talk about something else that I think has been a bit of an issue, and that's the variety of the content. Content's good. Content is good in a game. I love that about Final Fantasy. I enjoy the change of pace from hanging out at your house, doing emotes and decorating and weird stuff like that. Just the fun, random things that you get up to in Final Fantasy, to raiding. But I think there's a big difference between the themes and the content that's been coming out this expansion. There's a big difference between fighting dragons, demonic Ascians, end of the world threats, monsters, demons, and then dancing around in a nightclub with Loporrits, or doing some slapstick comedy with Hildebrand. These are two completely different themes, and there's a huge difference as well between playing the story and doing an ultimate raid. So it's fair to say that not everyone will like every piece of content or every part of the game that comes out. Personally, for me, I prefer the edgier, darker stuff. Shadowbringers was phenomenal to me. I don't really care for the Loporrits. That's just my things that I enjoy. And I'm sure other people are different. Some people would love that, you know, they can't wait for that Loporrit nightclub, but then they don't care for the raids. And that's fine. But if you wait 4 months for a big patch, like a big piece of content, and it's ultimate raid, and you don't like ultimate raids, that's zero content for you. You can't even get involved in it. You can't even look at it. It's zero content. If you wait 4 months and it's a relic grind in a deep dungeon, but you're not into that, it's zero content for you. And it might just be a dead patch. And instead of waiting 4 months, maybe you're waiting 8 months. And if there's only a tiny thing you're interested in that big patch, like a new PvP season, that's a really, really thin patch for you. I also play WoW. So just for an example, I just want to say why this feels so weird. Everything in WoW is based around raids, mythic dungeons, and open world fights, big bosses, big world bosses, and PvP. So you're always fighting something. So every big patch is a big patch. If you're waiting 2 months, 3 months for a big patch, you'll probably play all of it. And that's something really different to me, because when I wait 4 months in Final Fantasy and the features are Tataru's Grand Adventure, Hildebrand's Next Adventure, and Dancing with Loporrits, to me, that isn't even a patch. There was no content in that patch for me, so I'll just wait another 4 months. And if you're just looking for a big fight, you might feel the same. And I think that's a big thing they've had, because they've spent a lot of time doing reworking the old content, island sanctuaries for casual players, ultimate raids for ultimate raiders. There was a crafting weapon relic things made out. There was beast tribes that were just for crafters and gatherers. And if you don't engage in that system, or you don't like crafting, that's not something you can do. It's not content you can play. If you can't beat an ultimate, you're not, you don't feel good enough, or you don't like ultimates, that isn't content for you to do. There's not an easy ultimate mode you can do. There's not a watered down version. It just doesn't exist to you. So even though I think there's been a fair amount of overall content in Endwalker, for you as a person, you might feel that there's not been much at all. And I certainly feel that way. And the final thing that I think hits Final Fantasy the hardest, and it's one of its strengths, it's the reason that its expansions win awards, it's replayability. It hits the patches so damn hard. This is nothing new, but when waiting for 4 months per patch, it's even longer, and when there's like a Christmas break, that's pushed even further. But the lack of replayability in this game is really hurting the patch cycles. When a major patch is the story, you can complete that story in the same evening it comes out. And that's it. If there's if there's a trial that comes with that and a dungeon, you complete them within the story on the same day. And then maybe all you've got for the next 3 or 4 months is an extreme trial. That, again, once you've done it once, it's the same fight. You can go re-clear it, but it's the same fight. You can go re-clear the dungeon in the roulettes, but it's the same dungeon. It doesn't get any harder. There's no scalability. And that's just rough. Same with islands. They were fantastic, but after a couple of weeks, we had all the animals and the mounts, and that was it. There's no reason to ever go back to the island, except for if you wait 6 months for another level of islands. We got that instead of Bosja, which is a really replayable grind that I personally really, really enjoyed. We didn't get a relic grind. They just copy-pasted grind tomestones, which isn't new content to grind. It's just go do more roulettes, which we're all doing. That's all we've got to do anyway. So it doesn't feel like we have any replayable, big, fun, grindy content with friends, either in the open world or instanced outside of the big raids. And we've had a lot of good stuff. We've had Tataru's Grand Adventure, Hildebrand. And if you enjoy that content, that's great. But it is over in a day. and it just doesn't leave you with much to do for the next 3 to 4 months. I don't know. Overall, this is just kind of a rant video. I've been unsubscribed for Final Fantasy XIV for a couple of months now, and I just wanted to like summarize why I'm not hyped about the game, why I'm not logging in, even though I want to. I want to log in. I want to sit in the house with my friends before we go into a raid. I want to sit in like Limsa and chat to people and have those funny interactions. But my friends aren't there. No one's logging in. There's no reason for me to log in. It would just be nice to have content. I know that the big thing about this game is, you know, when you're done, play other games. That's the big message, isn't it? Just go play other games. But when you've put hundreds of hours into Final Fantasy like I have and loads of other people have, you've got friends there and you love the world and you love the game, you love the combat and you love what they've made here, you kind of do sometimes just want to log in every day and have fun with your friends. And if they're not making that content for you, it's rough. I'm excited for 6.4, but I honestly feel like after a week of doing the story, the dungeon and the extreme a few times, it's just going to be logging in 2 or 3 nights a week for Savage. And that just doesn't feel like an MMO to me. It doesn't feel like a world that I'm invested in. It just, I don't know. It doesn't sound that appealing. This has been just a big old rant video. I don't really know where it's gone anymore, but a lot of people subscribe to this channel for Final Fantasy content. And, you know, I've got a lot of friends who love the game, and I just wanted to make a video talking about why I've just lost my hype for it, why I'm just not feeling that MMO feel. I'm not feeling like I've got a reason to go on it every day and play it like an MMO. And I know there's going to be people that defend this game tooth and nail. You know, Square Enix could say there's going to be no content for 6 months. You know, we're taking a break, and people would still support it and sub and say it's an amazing game. And that's fine if you're in that camp, but there are issues. A lot of people are saying it, and I wanted to tell you what I feel, and these or just my opinions. And I'm just going to say, if you come at me in the comments and say, oh, but Marty, you haven't gone and caught all the big fish, and you haven't gone and completed this niche little quest chain from Stormblood, so you've got loads of content. But all right, yeah, I could go do all that. I could go do that, but I could also go get my Game Boy out and play Super Mario 1. But the truth is, I'm playing an MMO and I'm paying a subscription, and I want to play current content with my friends that I'm paying for, and it just doesn't feel like it's here in Endwalker right now. That's it. That's the video. Take care. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.